Wow, we got all these people coming in. This is awesome. Welcome. Talk about OGs. We got Rob McKinney. We got Chad Pearson. Wow.
Hello,
Welcome.
brother. Great to see you, my man.
It's good to see you as well. Um, so look, we're gonna talk today about communication, and so I'm gonna just put it out to you guys. I got a couple of things in mind, but I want to ask you, what's the biggest? Well, let's start with our 1 to 10 exercise. That's the best thing. And that's the most useful thing, I think, for me anyway. So we tell each other, and you can pass if you'd like, but 1 to 10, how you're doing right now in this moment. One is I'm eating crap food, I'm not sleeping, I'm highly stressed, I'm exhausted, I'm just not doing very well at all. 10 is, man, feel great, look great, sleeping well, eating great, exercising, connecting with humans, everything's going great. That's a 10. And I'll start for me, and there's some people that have already weighed in on the chat. For me, I'm probably about a 6, maybe 5, but I would probably be a 5 if I didn't get a good night's sleep last night. It's just been a really hectic week, lots of travel. And my go-to is always, that's the next question we ask is what one thing could you do in the coming week to get that number up? And for me, it's always sleep. And so I'm going to try to get a good night's sleep tonight. So everybody else, if you chatted in and you want to keep chatting, tell us what your go-to is to get to that higher number for the next week. Or you can unmute and just tell us. Rob, you unmuted. Are you talking?
Road, so I know what mine is. Is go home to my own bed and get out of this hotel I've been in for 3 days.
Yeah, that can wear you out for sure. Chad, what's your number? Oh,
Right
I
now,
see. Eight.
right now it's an 8, but it's been a 6 for the last little bit. But it opened up to an 8 because I got a slowdown in my travel schedule, and I was able to catch up on sleep.
Okay, cool. And Craig, you're a 9. Like, how do you do that? Like, what are the elements that allow you to be a 9 today?
I think my stress level is pretty even. I'm getting good rest. Um, I think I could do better is more exercise. I think this
Good,
week I didn't
good.
do that great with exercise.
And then Gil says sleep is his reset, and Gil did a 7. That's pretty normal. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing your name right. Artyom,
You
you're
can
a
call me
9.
Artie. It's a little easier. Yeah.
All right, Artie, 9. How do you do 9? Like, what's your routine? What do you do?
Well, to be fair, I mean, with Chad, I was traveling so much recently that I wasn't sleeping. So for me, the biggest thing is I'm finally sleeping throughout the night and not waking up consistently.
Right.
And so
Yep.
just being disciplined with exercise and reading, it's definitely made things a little bit less stressful.
Awesome. And Barbara, wow, you're an 8 or 9. We got a lot of 8 and 9s here. This is pretty crazy.
It's a
So
good
I
good
will.
week.
That's a
It's a
really
good.
good week.
It's a
Good
good
God.
week. It's actually it's a huge change for me. The previous position was extremely stressful, away from 2 weeks a month, and they weren't very you know appreciative of any of that. So I was running on
Hmm.
about a 5 for a long time, maybe a 4. But with the new position, I have sleep, exercise, diet's good without all the travel. So yeah, it's good
Nice.
now.
So you're loving that new position.
I am loving it.
All right, cool. All right, so today we're talking about communication. So thank you all for sharing that, by the way. But the first thing I want to ask is, what's the biggest stumbling block for you, or that you've observed, or you see in others, to where communication breaks down, where it's just not happening? What's the biggest issue that you find? And you can chat it in, or you could just unmute and talk to us. Barbara, what do you got?
Um, Across the board, it's usually someone thinking that someone knows about what's happening and without confirming or without being, just assuming that I know
Right.
what's going on without actually bringing me into the loop.
Yeah. Those assumptions can be deadly, right? Dangerous anyway. So yeah, assuming something that you think you know what they said, but that and what they meant. They may have said it. Gil, what do you got?
There's so many factors of personality, including personality types. We
Yeah.
could take all the various tests. but also, like myself, just being diagnosed with ADHD this late in life, it answered a lot of questions about why me and my partner weren't, connecting and
Right.
agreeing or seeing things the same way. So there's so many
Right.
other factors just built in. And how do we know who's what?
All right.
You know?
Cool. And Chad, you've said too much said over digital communication for tension. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I feel like lately people have been so bogged down that they've been having conversations that should be done more direct, but they've been
Mhm.
having them over text or emails, which is creating miscommunication. And I've noticed a significant attention gap. I'm not talking about ADHD, I'm talking about everyone having less time and attention to
Yeah.
read messages properly,
Right.
or when they're on digital communication, even over Zoom, they're multitasking to try and squeeze things in and they're not listening. So we've seen
Right.
a significant increase by an order of magnitude.
Yeah, I totally right. And add to that, we have an exercise where we do a sentence, and we put the emphasis on different words in the sentence, and it totally changes the meaning, like
Mhm.
8 different meanings based on the emphasis that you put on one word. And guess what? You don't have that emphasis in a text or an email. So
Exactly.
you got 8 different communication, interpretations of that one message. And that's what happens a lot with this over that digital communication as well. So I think, yeah, all of that's true. And Therese is here. Welcome, Therese. So we're talking about communication. I think that all of those are true, and I think that boils down to being fully present and listening.
Mm.
And boy, is that hard to do, right? And there's an exercise we do where we get a partner, and we tell you want to tell your partner something really exciting that happens in your life, and the partner is instructed to just be on their phone the whole time and check messages and Facebook and whatever. And then we talk about, well, you don't need a phone to be distracted and to not be fully present. You can be in your head. There's lots of ways to not be fully present.
Mm.
So those are the 2 biggest things that we see, is that being fully present and just really truly listening, especially when someone is maybe agitated or angry or yelling at you about something. Then what is your mind doing when they're yelling at you or they're arguing with you about something? What is your mind doing? Anybody want to weigh in on that?
Getting defensive and thinking about yourself and how it's
Yeah,
affecting
you're getting defensive. You're formulating your response, right? And you're going to try to convince them, whatever you're trying to convince them of, right? So, and a lot of those differences come down to values and just perceptions, but values as well. And values color your perceptions. So, anybody else want to weigh in on that? As they're yelling at you or arguing with you or trying to convince you of something, what's going on in your brain? Yeah, Artie.
Maybe this is gonna sound bad, but I've been yelled at above average amount of times in my life, from fielding customer calls to my wife, I shall say.
Yeah.
So with that experience, I've learned over the years as I've matured is just to let them vent, actively
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah.
And so for me, if I'm being yelled at or people are arguing, I just let them have it, listen to what they're saying, and somewhere in the minutia of the argument, you find
Yeah.
out what they're actually upset about. And then
Yeah.
for me, then I respond. So I listen
Oh.
first, then respond.
That is so great. And so let's just do an exercise that's based on what Artie just said. I want anybody, just raise your hand and tell me who has a rant they could do for 45 seconds. It could be any topic. It could be political. It could be anything, but I want you to rant about something for 45 seconds. Who's got something? Anybody? Come on, Artie, you've been yelled at so much. You need to be the one to rant and be our ranter today. What do you think? Do you have a topic you could rant on?
I do, but
Okay.
I don't know how fully formed it is.
Oh, that's okay. You just get to the emotional level of it, and I want you to
Sure.
basically yell at us and
Sure.
tell us like,
Okay.
and
So mine is
yeah,
all predominantly sports themed, as I'm an avid
that's
sports
fine.
fan.
That's fine.
So one of my biggest pet peeves in life, if you know who Mike Greenberg is, he works for ESPN. He hosts Get Up for
Yeah,
ESPN.
yeah.
He has the most annoying habit of any interviewer, podcaster, or anybody that hosts a show, which is he will let others debate. He'll let them say their points, but he'll always hold the last word, and he makes you think
Okay.
he's right.
All right. So if you got 45 seconds of rant on that, I want you to expand on that. Like, tell me why that's so annoying to you. But here's what we're going to do. Everybody else, as Artie is ranting about this, I want you to think about two things. What is important to Artie and what are his values? Okay. That's the
Okay,
only thing. So you have to really listen, be fully present. And Artie, what do you got? Are you ready?
I'll do my best. This may not
All
make
right.
sense, and this may not be
No,
rational.
it doesn't matter. Just go with it, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be coherent. Just rant. Rants are often incoherent. So try it. Go.
Okay,
Start.
cool.
I'll time you. Go.
Mike Greenberg voices his opinions as if it's matter of fact and as if it's gospel, and a lot of times not fully formed. And what always stuck with me is Charles Barkley saying the power of television. So when you have incoherent thoughts that are being labeled as fact, it's just poor miscommunication, and it drives me off the wall because people will listen to this and take this as actual advice or actual opinions that are fact. And it drives me off the wall because he's not speaking in fact. He's speaking in questions and thoughts and opinions that aren't rooted in fact.
All right. You can stop there. You got about 8 seconds left. All right. So everybody else, weigh in, chat in, unmute.
Um,
What does Artie value? What's important to him?
well, what I got out of that is what he values is truth. And what's annoying him is somebody's abusing his power because he has a platform and he's abusing that platform to project an untruthful opinion.
Awesome. Yeah. Anybody else? I think he nailed it pretty good. But anybody else have any other comments?
I was just thinking he values the opinions of others, and others' values are important as well, not just
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He wants everybody to weigh in. And I would go even deeper than that, that he values human relationships and things like harmony and truth and those things that people need to have their say without it being questioned or subverted by a guy that does it seems like every time. And that's what's annoying. Anybody else? All right. So you see how this works. If you can train yourself when somebody's going off, arguing, trying to convince you of something, if you can listen to what they value and what's important to them, you can really make some inroads. And you don't want to be condescending, and you don't want to say, "Oh, I can see that you're angry," in a sort of a passive aggressive way. But you can also just say, "Gosh, I didn't realize that this was so important to you. I see that now. How can we come to, whatever?" Then you can start the negotiation and start the discussion. So shall we do one more of those? Who has a rant in them right now that they can do 45 seconds on? Anybody?
All
Come
right,
on.
Gil.
Okay, Gil's got a rant. All right, Gil, you ready? Remember, everybody else, what's important? What does Gil value? Go.
I just want to write to the owner of Aldi because I shop there and I love it, but I'm an ingredient reader, and the more I read ingredients, I see that there's ingredients in our food supply that are in Aldi's products that are banned in Europe. And I want to say, if this isn't good enough for your people, why are you putting it in American food supply? You're a German, and you should respect what your country and the EU feels about some of these ingredients, but you seem to be fine just putting it into American foods. They're human beings too, even if they don't live in your country.
All right, stop there. Everybody weigh in. What does Gil value? What's important?
I'm I'm hearing integrity. So what they're showing on the outside, he's valuing integrity, and he's seeing this as a breach of integrity. So even though this company is saying that they're ABC, in America, it feels like they're chasing profit because they can get away with maybe cheaper ingredients.
Interesting. So yeah, integrity is big for Gil. I agree. Anybody else want to weigh in? What's important to Gil?
Health, eating proper, nutritious foods
Yeah.
versus the dumpster fire of what most of our grocery stores have.
Right. So health and wellness, obviously important, right? Yeah. Anybody else? All right, those are good. All right, this is actually an improv exercise. Gil's my improv buddy. We do improv together at this organization called the Applied Improvisation Network, and they're having their international conference near Tampa at the end of July, 1st of August. So if anybody wants any information on it, it's a great group of people, and they apply improv to all kinds of things like communication. This is an improv exercise that I've adapted for communication stuff. So, by the way, welcome, Therese. How are you?
Oh, you're on mute, Therese.
You're on mute. You don't have to say anything if you don't want to. But I just wanted to acknowledge you and make sure we knew you were here. Thank you for coming. All right, so that's a great exercise to do. And you can do a 60-second rant, 45-second rant, 30-second rant. But here's what happens too. If you do a 60-second rant, and even Gil and Artie did this, people run out of steam. You can't keep a rant up that long. Like Artie said in the beginning, right? Just watch them. And it's like watching a balloon deflate. Like they just run out. But guess what? If you try to cut them off, convince them otherwise, yell at them back, guess what happens? You get this escalation. I call it the escalation of violence. So you yell back, and then they yell louder, and then you yell louder, and then they shove you, and then you shove them back, and then they hit you, and you hit them back, and they pull a gun, and you pull a cannon, and it just escalates into this crazy thing, right? But by being silent, Artie, is it true for you? It's like watching them just run out of gas, right?
Correct. Especially they're like, why they get angrier of the why aren't you being defensive? Why aren't you responding? Why aren't you amping me back up to refill my rant battery, if you will? So
right. And of course that takes emotional awareness and emotional management. And so if you have lower awareness, you're gonna just react instead of respond. And then it's about managing those emotional states and then letting them go and then trying to come to some resolution after that and acknowledging what they value too. So, all right, excellent. I got one other thing I want to share that's a great listening exercise. I think next week we'll talk about active listening and actually do some breakout rooms and talk about this active listening exercise we do that's phenomenal. And it's about listening for values, listening for facts, and listening for emotions. And you get in groups of 4 and one person tells a story and the other 3 are listening for those 3 things specifically. It's really powerful. And normally, as technically oriented people, we listen a lot for facts, but we very rarely listen for emotions, and we very rarely listen for values. So if you can get it in your mindset to listen to all 3 of those, you get a lot more data, a lot more information, and a lot better ability to respond to whatever they're talking about. Okay, but we'll maybe do that exercise next time if we get enough people showing up. But here's what I want to leave you with. I do this exercise a lot. It's a great listening exercise, and it's a great icebreaker as well. So if you've got a group or a meeting, have people partner up and just give them 1 minute. Tell me your 1 minute life story, and do that. Each one tells their life story, and then you go around the room, and your partner has to introduce you. So, and you don't tell them ahead of time, boy, you better listen, because you're going to have to introduce them later. You just act like they're telling their life story. But then when you go around, people get this shocked look on their face. Oh my goodness, let me think. And then they have to come up with, oh, I wasn't really listening. while you were telling me your life story. So it's a great exercise. And then you don't want to embarrass them, but they'll come up with some stuff. But then the reflection is, how could you have done this better? I should have been more fully present. I should have listened better, maybe even take some notes. But you'll really talk about how that whole distraction thing that Chad mentioned in the beginning. We live in such a distracted world. It's just hard to focus and be fully present with people because of a number of reasons. But that's what I'll leave you with today. Anybody else have any ideas, closing thoughts, or anything you would like to cover for next week? And then I'll give you. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the chat. So I would love it if you go to Brent Darnell, if you go to that link, you'll see the link in the chat. It's a sign up link, and then you'll sign up. You'll put your name and email and password and all that, and then add the courses. After sign up, you'll click browse. There'll be courses there. This communication stuff. There's a course called Killer Communication Skills, and it's got tons of exercises in if you're interested. So put the communication skills or any other course in the cart, type in free course, all caps, and it'll give you 100% discount, and then just check out and it'll zero it out, and you'll get access to that course, whatever course you chose. So, all I ask is that if you do the course and take the course, give me some feedback. That's all I'm asking.
Nice.
And by the way, if you want to do this for your company and you want more licenses to do this and have people try it out and see what they think, just email me. You can email me through my website, brentdarnell.com, and I can set you up with a coupon code to give people access to all the courses. You can try them out if you'd like. Just let me know. All right.
What was that code, Brent? I'm sorry, for this one.
It's free course, all caps.
For us? Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
If you go to the chat, you can click on that link and it'll take you to a sign up page.
And it was killer communication.
Killer communication skills. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So anybody else got any closing thoughts?
On those rants.
Yeah.
So I love your tactics, by the way. It's for those on the call who don't know me, I came from law enforcement, and so Brent and I, we always a lot of our tactics kind of come each other. Brent's been I've admired Brent for ages because he's always got these cool little tactics that work really, really well, and they're so simple to execute, which is key. On those rants, we had I think we used a timed intervention. So when someone's on a rant, just as you said, Brent, they deflate like a balloon. So the longer you can let them go, the better. And we used a timed intervention. At some point, they have to take a breath. And when they take that breath, we don't interrupt. We take that moment to use a calm tonality to ask them a priority. So we'd say, you said a lot there. What's one thing we should focus on? And then they'll keep ranting. Hey, right. You said a lot more. What's one thing we should focus on? And you keep doing that until they calm down. And when you ask them to focus on one of the things, so you're figuring out, just like you said, the values, figuring out what's important to them. But then if you ask them, what's that one thing to focus on? It forces them into their frontal cortex, get out of the emotional state to actually use a part of the brain more wired for critical thinking and prioritization. And it can get them out of that emotional state. Then you can have a civilized conversation. So that's what we used.
Wow. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it works really well.
That's really great. And I'm so glad that you told that to everybody, and I'm definitely going to steal that and use that because that's what I want this to be and to become. I want to throw out some ideas, but then I want everybody to weigh in on this. And what are your best practices? And what things worked for you? And how have you used this or tweaked this or changed this to be able to make it even better? You know, that's what I want to really go for here over time. So excellent. Thank you all. Chad, thank you for that that add to that, because that is really cool.
Excellent.
To get them in the cognitive part of their head and out of that emotional parts of your brain, and it forces you to really cognitively think about what am I trying to do here, right? Yeah,
exactly.
Cool. All right, anybody else, any closing thoughts? Thank you all for coming here. I'm going to be here every Friday for the near future, and we'll just see where this goes. But I love connecting with you guys. I love checking in and seeing where you are, and just know that I'm here to help you. I've got tons of resources, like Chad said. Most of them are free. I give them away. Let me know what your issue is. I've got tons of. What are you holding up, Gil?
The notes I took from today.
Oh, cool. All right. Thank you all. I hope to see you next Friday. But again, come if you can. If you don't, no worries. There's no pressure here. I'm not trying to build anything. I'm just using this as a forum to have people come and talk and share and just see what everybody is and see if we can help each other. Okay. So Thank you again. I'm doing an LCI, local LCI in Atlanta, talking about I call it the forgotten pillar of lean. The respect for people part. We seem to forget that part a lot.
No kidding.
Yeah. We like the continual improvement and we like the full planning because it gets us some result, but the people part, we're just not as keen on. So thank you all again. I'm here to help. Just reach out to me for anything. If I can help you, I'll help you. Otherwise, have a wonderful Friday and weekend, and hope to see you next time.
Thank you,
Thank
brother.
you. Have a good one.
Great way to
Bye.
start.
Bye.
Thank you all.